What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Gumps podcast. So we're going to be coming back live and strong with these podcasts because I finally found someone who's actually pretty good at holding a conversation that is not just myself. Welcome, Webhead.
What's up, guys? How you been?
So we were literally just talking, and I'm like, man, we really do work well off each other just based off our conversations. So I'm just gonna be like, you know what? Let's just have this podcast. So I really got to lower that volume. Hold up, boys. What the volume of the chat. So whatchamacallit, Webhead, introduce yourself. Say where you can find you and what you do and how we met.
Remember, I asked him to collab on a video on Flash and Arrow, and he's like, "Yeah, that'd be great." And because I felt like he has potential, and I obviously wanted him to have more subscribers, and we did a few collabs back in the day, and there you go. He's growing. He's still getting there, so I'm happy for that.
So yeah, guys. Sorry, I had to fix some volume issues. The text was being really loud. I feel like it would have taken away from the whole experience from the podcast, just hearing our lovely voices. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna be just literally talking. If you guys have any questions, that's what we're here. We're here to just sit here and just talk and have some fun. So we were talking about a lot of Smallville. I think we're gonna just leave that for something later because I'm gonna have my series review in hopefully like in a couple. Like I think next week maybe. I was gonna say a couple weeks. I'm like, there's no shot. There's no shot. It's gonna be a couple weeks. Probably by the end of the week, most likely, because I've been going through that show like crazy. But we actually were gonna just collaborate and talk based on the whole Morbius and what was the other show? Venom being connected to the MCU. So that's gonna be our
show, man.
I did.
You said Venom show.
Whatever.
Venom show.
It's a form of moving pictures, so it's close enough. Oh, imagine a Venom show though, like dead ass. That'd be so ugly. Just like we, if that's the Venom we got on a movie screen, imagine what we got on a TV budget. Yikers! Oh god, that would be so ugly. Oh no, no.
Yeah, like I don't know, CW budget.
Oh, dude, it would just be literally like King Shark downgraded to like, I don't know, a puddle. Yikes. That would be so ugly.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about Venom and Morbius, technically in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and some other crap like that. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we're just going to go with the flow and let's see what happens. But yeah, the whole thing with, now it's quote-unquote confirmed that the MCU is in ties with Morbius and Venom. It's all because of what was his face? Vulture being in the trailer. I'm still not 100% convinced that they are full on connected. The reason why I say that is because Marvel is very careful, and unless Marvel had a lot more to do with Morbius than we are aware of, I don't think they would just be like, okay, here, play with some of our toys. I don't think they're going to be like as connected as we all think, but I still, realistically speaking, I think they are going to be connected by the end of like Morbius and all that stuff, but I feel like it's not going to be like they're going to be crossing over every other movie. I think it's going to be, how would we say, like, remember early Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? It was, they constantly made references to the MCU and stuff like that, but they never really had a connection other than Lady Sif showing up. Lady Sif showed up on an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I remember that episode because I was so freaked out. I was like, that's so cool. But yeah, I think that something like that's going to happen where it's just like every once in a while Venom's going to show up and it's going to go like that. What do you think, Weapon?
Yeah, I agree. It's for the most part. I am aware that I think they did this because of the fallout with the deal last year. If you know when Spider-Man was tep- uh, temporarily out of the MCU for a bit, and then people were freaking out. So I'm assuming when they were making the new deal, I think Sony was like, "Hey, if you want Spider-Man back for another film and more films in the future, how about we share our stuff with you? Like, let us be part of your sandbox." And I think Marvel's like, okay, but we want to make sure that your films are good, and we have to make sure to check to see for continuity because they made that mistake before. Spider-Man: Homecoming did the whole 8 years later, which is really incorrect and stuff like that. So I think Marvel's working with Sony on a secret level where they're gonna check the films and make sure they don't mess with the timeline. But otherwise, yeah, I'm interested to see how this will work, and I think, like said, this is going to be like a Agents of Shield Netflix shows kind of ordeal where they're there, but don't expect Venom to show up in these Guardians of the Galaxy film or something like that. I think the only crossover we're ever going to get is really just with Spider-Man, since Kevin Feige said Spider-Man is the only character with the ability to cross over cinematic universes. But the
Yeah,
thing about it, yeah, but the thing is, I like how some people were in denial about it when this was shown. Like the trailer for Morbius, people were like, no, this has got to be a different vulture or whatever, multiverse shit. I'm like, well, that makes no sense. How would that even work? People are just going to get confused. I don't know why people are trying to deny it. I get some people don't like Venom. I personally enjoy it for what it was. It was a stupid movie, but I loved the heck out of it. Morbius, let's see what happens. So, Gump, any more thoughts on that?
Well, we got a comment from BB. BB says, honestly, I think they just reused the actor. It seems reckless if that's the right word, but that's most likely the case. The one thing that I would say that prevents that from being the case, that would be a very solid theory. But if I recognize that coat, it looks like the exact same coat he wore in Homecoming. Um, I don't know if this was just like an end credit tease that they put in the trailer because that wouldn't be the first time that's ever happened.
Yeah,
But
Sony's been known to do that.
yeah, so if that's just the case, maybe it was like, oh, maybe, and they're like, oh fuck, no one's here to watch our movie. No one's talking good buzz about Morbius. So what they do a fight or flight kind of thing, and they get Vulture, Kevin Keaton. Michael Keaton. I kept saying Kevin Keaton. I'm like Kevin Keaton. I was like Michael Keaton. Yeah, Michael Keaton to be in the movie. I don't think he's going to be a huge part of the movie, and I still believe it is Vulture. But it's the level of significance that is really the true question here. But you
Yeah,
did. Oh, you go.
you go first.
No, no. I was going to change. I was going to change wheels. I was going to change lanes. So if you have any other
Yeah,
thing to say, you go.
I was gonna say there was also the fact that people keep thinking this is multiverse because of the graffiti with Spider-Man with the word murderer on it, and it's the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. They were like, "Is this Sony's way of trying to bring back that universe?" And I'm like, "No, I think they were just lazy." And I also heard from people saying that they're gonna change it in the film where it's actually Tom Holland Spider-Man's costume. But I'm like, okay, well, if Sony knew that, why did you put Tobey Maguire's suit? That caused confusion and shit. I also get that maybe they did that because they want people to remember Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man for, say, a Spider-Verse live-action film in the future or something like that. I feel
Okay.
like that's what they're doing or whatever the freak, but I don't know. What do you
Okay.
have to say, Gump?
Now let's talk. Let's talk about that real quick because I feel like this is a perfect segue to change scenery, if you will, but still on the topic of Spider-Man. So the possibility of them setting up a multiverse, I think that is more possible than anyone thinks because Sony has been desperate to have a huge universe more than almost any studio. And other studios have done some stupid shit. Let's be honest. The Dark Universe survived one film because they were too busy trying to set up a whole universe. The Amazing Spider-Man franchise didn't make it past two because it made I think it made the least amount of any Spider-Man movie, and it costed like the most. And they had so many villains; they were too busy focused on a universe. Now I feel like it is very much possible that they are setting up a multiverse. Now, but it's going to beg the question: um, if that is a Michael Keaton, but like a Vulture from a different universe or a different timeline or a different whatever, it's going to beg the question: why is Peter Parker look different? Why is Peter Parker a different actor? That's going to be the big question. So they're going to have a lot of things that they're going to have to discuss. Like, is it because like different birth times, like Peter was destined to be born or some shit like that? I don't know. I think the whole thing of that poster, like of Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man being lazy. Sony is not exactly as lazy as people make them out to be. Are they competent? They are competent, but they are over ambitious. They're over ambitious and they try to shoot for the stars a little too quick instead of like slowly building up. So if they were to do a multiverse or a Spider Verse, if you will, I think setting up with a small tease of like a Tobey Maguire costume in the background saying murderer, I think that would be a fucking awesome start. Because like let's say like what 2022, a live action Into the Spider Verse gets announced. Tobey Maguire's back, Andrew Garfield's back, and they were like, we actually set this up based off a poster, and you guys thought we were fucking crazy. I think that'll be awesome. So I don't know, man. I might be crazy. I might not be crazy.
It would be awesome, but I also again feel like this is just a placeholder because I guess at that point when they were making the trailer, the deal was broken, so they were probably like, fuck. But we'll see. As you said earlier, I feel like Venom and Morbius are in the same universe as the MCU, just in a Netflix Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. type way, where, again, don't expect any references in other Marvel films. The only connection is probably to Spider-Man, Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And again, they will do a Spider-Verse film in the future. It's guaranteed it's going to happen. I mean, come on. They're going to do Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. The multiverse is a big thing in the MCU right now. So, we'll see.
Yeah, one thing that makes me nervous when it comes to like this whole MCU and stuff like that is the fact that there's a possibility that they'll start getting lazy. Because if the Multiverse of Madness does, for some reason, have a connection to the Spider-Verse, right? I'm afraid that they're going to start relying on this interdimensional thing where it's like, oh, Doctor Strange died, but at least we get Doctor Strange from like Earth 3 or some shit like that. That's some Flash CW crap. I don't want to really have to like just deal with that. The MCU's cheesy, but that's like a line of cheesy that is just garbage and just like weak. It could come out as a cop-out. Like, the whole thing with Endgame, what I didn't like about it, it was just like, it was one giant cop-out. They wrote themselves into a corner, and the best thing they could come up with is time travel! Oh! There are certain things I do not like in film or TV shows, that when it comes to solving conflict, I think it's lazy and just terrible. Okay, one of your main character dies. Okay, time travel, which has been done in a lot of shows I love. Smallville. Or that's, oh, we got fucking Clark Kent from Earth 72. Oh, and he's so much better than the other Clark Kent that we're used to. And now we got to get used to him. Oh, I can't stand those kind of tropes. There's certain films that do time travel correctly. Star Trek is one of them. Back to the Future is one of them. There's a handful of movies that do it right, but based off of Endgame, if that's how they're going to handle, like, you know, time travel or, like, I don't know, alternate dimensions, I don't know if I'm going to like it. Because I feel like the multiverse, like the Multiverse of Madness, could have been created after they went back in time. I think that would be a very logical thing. So if there's a direct consequence from them going back in time and clearly fucking up the timeline, like, I don't know, killing Thanos for 2014... If that creates a whole rift and makes an alternate universe that starts fucking up shit, then it will be a lot better, because it just feels like everything was neatly tied, a little too clean.
Yeah, the way they explained time travel in Endgame was that it's like Dragon Ball style. You never really watched Dragon Ball, but basically what happened is that when you time travel back in time and prevent something that changes the future, when you go back, that timeline is still there. where it's effed up and shit. But then you create a new timeline of alternate universe where none of that shit happened. They did that in Dragon Ball where a character goes back in time, prevented something from his future from being bad, but his future still effed up. But he created an alternate universe, which is the main Dragon Ball timeline where nothing like that happened. It's confusing as shit. It's basically making alternate universes, which is what Endgame did. They created a timeline or a universe where Loki escaped with the Tesseract, which they're going to do a show about him. And then they created another alternate timeline where Thanos from 2014 is no longer there, and basically the Guardians of the Galaxy never assembled. So that's a weird as, confusion, but whatever.
Yeah. That's
it's
why
time travel.
Yeah, that's why me as a writer, I never, ever, ever want to write about time travel, because you're almost destined to never fix all your plot holes. It's just the case. You're always going to have something wrong because it's just something so hard to keep track of unless you keep it so simple. But if the plot is so simple, it's almost like, why are you using time travel? I just don't like time travel in movies.
Yeah.
In general, I don't like them. I just don't.
Yeah, but of course, Multiverse of Madness is setting up, I guess, the next big event, which I'm pretty sure everybody knows is going to be Secret Wars, and I mean the second Secret Wars, where the multiverse is kind of collapsing and some timelines and universes kind of collide into one. In the comics, the main continuity Marvel Universe collided with the Ultimate Universe timeline, and that's how Miles Morales showed up in the main continuity, because the Ultimate Universe basically died, and Miles is like the only one that survived and is in the main continuity. It's weird. I'm pretty sure the films are not going to do that crazy, but it'll be.
So you're saying it's going to be like a Marvel Crisis on Infinite Earths, right? Pretty much.
Basically, that's what the second Secret Wars is about. It was basically their version of Crisis, but a little different. I mean, if Marvel was playing smart, I think what would have been cool if they did Secret Wars as the next big Infinity War level event to make it go bigger is to have cameos from other versions of Marvel characters showing up, like Hugh Jackman's Wolverine or something like that, or Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man interacting with the MCU characters. That would be every fan's dream, and they at least have a purpose and not just be there for the sake of cameos. Crisis.
We're not going to talk about Crisis. I had my rage. My poor mother. Mom, if you ever watch my channel, which I know you don't, but if one day you do, I'm sorry. This poor woman had to listen to me watch my TV, screaming at it in pure rage. And no, I'm not like a normal, typical American man that's screaming at a TV for sports. I'm screaming at a TV because they used Batman. And it's like, just die. We're done. We're not talking about it anymore. Yeah. But you're right. It's I don't know, man.
I do know for a fact that the villain of the second Secret Wars is Doctor Doom. How ironic. They got their rights to him back. You see where I'm going with this?
Yes.
Because Doctor Doom in the second Secret Wars comic storyline had like godlike powers. He was responsible for having all the multiverses collided into one. So
yeah, that's what I want. Because right now we know we're getting a Fantastic Four. It's just a matter of when. Right? They announced Blade, they announced Fantastic Four. I freaked out when I saw Fantastic Four and Blade. I'm like, I remember back in like 2016, I announced, like, there was a rumor that they were going to have Blade in the MCU. Now it's actually going to happen. They have a star and everything like that. But to have Fantastic Four in there is freaking awesome. And I always wanted to see Doctor Doom portrayed right. If you guys have ever played Ultimate Alliance, Marvel's Ultimate Alliance, that's the kind of storyline I want for the next big event, where it's Doctor Doom taking the power of Odin, which we can't do now because Odin's dead. But imagine him trying to take the powers of, I don't know, like Thor or like anybody godlike, and he just possesses that power, and then that's what starts shattering everything.
Yeah, that'd be good, because I think in the second Secret Wars storyline, he got the powers from the Beyonder, so...
So we got a question. Blade, vampires, how though? Yeah, so Blade is in the MCU for those clearly like my cheese bro, aka Chris. What's up, my man? He's going to be in the MCU. It is very interesting. That is actually the big question that's being asked right now. Like, how are they going to introduce vampires? How are they going to introduce like this much darker reality to the MCU? Because right now the MCU is this glossy, clean, child-friendly, magic. So I don't know as of right now. Right now, if the easy way out, let's say the easy way out. The easy way out for my writer brain is, again, the multiverse. There was a multiverse that had vampires and shit like that, and then after Doctor Strange, one of the vampires went out and Blade followed him trying to kill him, and then I don't know, fucking vampires start biting people, starts infecting. If that is how Blade gets introduced to the MCU, I would be royally pissed. But I feel like if I right now was this, I had like 15 seconds to decide how Blade is going to be introduced in the MCU. I would say that, again, pouring sweat because I don't want to ruin Blade because I love Blade. I love those first movies. But I would say, like, I don't know, it was like an unknown disease, like some foreign alien disease hits Earth and it starts causing this mutation and it just kind of spreads. So something like that is very possible. Let's see. Talk about vampires in the MCU. I just think it would be like some alien disease. That's like one way, unless they go full demonic, because like I don't know, Ghost Rider and shit like that. If they go full demonic, I think that'd be very cool. What do you think, Webhead?
Yeah, I was gonna say about your theory that it would have been a dumb theory if it was multiverse. I don't want the multiverse fully front and center. That'd be dumb. I think that vampires always existed. They're just probably in secret. I know for a fact that vampires would be out in secret, in the Marvel universe. I know they're trying to get to the supernatural side of things in Marvel. That's what Doctor Strange 2 is also building up, the supernatural side, because I heard rumors of certain characters being in there. Because, like Ghost Rider, for example, like Ghost Rider and Doctor Strange 2, that's nuts. Dude. Basically, what I'm saying is that I think the simple logic way is that vampires always existed. They're just in secret, and Blade's been around just doing this thing. And how they do it, like the tone. I know for a fact that Marvel has said many times that no, we're not making horror movies, but I would be okay if Marvel actually tries to jump the gun and actually do a horror film, but have it not promoted by Disney, but from some other studio, like from Fox, because they own Fox now. They could make like a rated R section of the MCU. Because I know for a fact they said, oh, we're not going to make Deadpool different. He's still going to be the same Deadpool, just, in the MCU. So I'm like, well, can you do like a rated R section where you can have more hardcore characters? Because if you're going to introduce the Punisher, how are you going to tone him down in the main MCU canon? So
I mean, the thing is, they made PG-13. If I'm not mistaken, they made a PG-13 Punisher before, and it's possible, especially with Punisher. Punisher is one of those characters that you can make PG-13. Would it be like as cool? Of course not. But when it comes to gun violence and stuff like that, you don't need a rated R rating, because the thing with Punisher, he's just ultra violent with his guns and shit like that. So it's not going to feel as dirty as we would like, but you could do a lot with the PG-13 rating these days, especially when it comes to violence. When it comes to rated R ratings, it's mostly swearing and flashing a tit. So that's what a rated R rating is now. When it comes to violence, you can almost get away with anything. I mean, shit. In Supernatural, there's decapitations, and that's a TV-14 show. So pretty much a PG-13.
Yeah, I guess so. But I guess because, like you said, the MCU so far has been more lighthearted. It'll be kind of cool to actually go to a more darker approach. You know what I mean? Like a Ghost Rider film, Blade, of course. You know what I mean?
The MCU is in desperate need for a change, specifically for like someone like me. I love the MCU so much, but I have not been a massive fan of a lot of their films in the past couple of years. I did not love Captain Marvel. I did not love Black Panther. I did not love Endgame. I did not love what the fuck was the other one? I don't know. Honestly, there's just so many of them. But like, honestly, Infinity War was like the only one I loved recently, except for Far From Home. Far From Home, I loved. I love Far From Home, and I love Infinity War. But everything else around that time frame, I was not a massive fan of. I walked out like,
Oh,
that was all right. They're in desperate
yeah,
need of a change because they all feel the same.
yeah. See, this is why I've been telling people lately. I love the MCU like everybody else, but I'm not like the big hardcore fan anymore. I've been kind of been like, yeah, it's fine, I like it. It's just it's the same thing. Especially when you rewatch all of them at once. When we like when Infinity War came out, right? When people were rewatching the films and I rewatched them, I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of noticing that there's a pattern with all these movies, which I get. It's supposed to be telling us, oh, it's the same tone, same universe, it's whatever. But I'm like, well, yeah, but it kind of gets old, And I'm like, you know, the MCU isn't as fun as I used to remember it. And, they're still good movies, but I'm like, they're not the same. And I'm speaking as a casual a fan. I'm not like a fan, but more like a moviegoer. And when I tell people these things, people think, "Oh no, you're just not you're not a Marvel fan." Well, there's a difference. I'm a Marvel fan, and I like the MCU, but I'm not like a hardcore MCU fan, per se anymore. I still like them. I still watch them. I'll still watch them. But when I see the Phase 4 slate, I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm excited for Spider-Man 3 and Doctor Strange 2 and Blade, but everything else, I'm like, I'm not really that excited. I'm excited for the Disney Plus shows. I want to see how they'll do with a TV show and 6 episodes, basically 6-hour movie. That would be interesting. But I'm like, what really is going to excite me? Aside from maybe Blade, Fantastic Four, Ghost Rider, and the X-Men, and Deadpool. That's like the only, and Spider-Man. Those are like the only things I'm excited about from Marvel now. Everything else, I'm like, yeah, I'll see them, but whatever. You know what I
Again,
mean?
yeah, it's because we've been building up an anticipation. Like, so just think of it. Sorry for the sexual reference, but think of it as one prolonged nut, right? You start off slow, and you don't know what you're quite getting into yet. You start building up excitement, delicious, fun, and then you start seeing the outcome. You don't know what the outcome is going to be like exactly, but you have an idea. It builds faster, 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 faster. Bam! All the excitement's gone. It was a 15-second enjoyment. Then now you're just crying into a pillow, hating your life. So
Yeah, okay. I get where you're going with this.
no, but so it's we're in that phase where just like we're crying into a pillow because 11 years of the MCU and now we're done with what they were building up. They have to
Yeah,
start over. They can't just
yeah,
do like the same shit over and over again. So Far From Home was really the finale. Endgame was the typical finale, but in reality, Spider-Man Far From Home was the end of that phase. Now we're in phase
yeah,
4. They have a lot to do to get us
yeah.
back on track. And having Black Widow as your first film is the fucking stupidest idea ever.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I mean, we'll watch it, and we like Black Widow as a character. It's just a movie about her
And she's
after
dead.
her death. After, yeah, her death. Kind of is not really a smart move, Marvel. I mean, I know what they're doing. I have a theory about why they made this movie. They're setting up. I don't know. This is probably a spoiler, but at this point, I think most people kind of get the idea what they're setting up. With General Ross, because he was in the trailer. He's still doing the Sokovia Accords, and there need to be heroes. And what would they do if, say, Iron Man's gone and Captain America's retired, right? What would they have to do now? Oh, we have to make our own Avengers. You know what I mean? You get where
Yeah.
I'm going with this, Gump,
Yes, I know
right?
exactly where you're going with this. And
And aside from,
if that's the
yeah, go
case,
ahead.
I'm saying if that was the case, that is going to be something really fun. But it's not a lot of build up you can really do other than him, collecting said assets.
Yes, unless of course a certain villain from Black Widow survives. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then there's Spider-Man's identity being revealed. We're gonna see how that plays out and how what's gonna happen with him after that because again, Sony and Marvel has one more movie and a team up film, which people are speculating is Captain Marvel 2.
That is not gonna happen. Shut
Dude,
up. That is
dude,
not happening. You
dude,
think you
people are
really
speculating.
think you
No,
fucking
I
think
I said this is what people think. People, and there were videos saying that Spider-Man's team up film is actually going to be Captain Marvel too, and I'm like, really, Captain Marvel? And the only reason they're doing that is because they want to make her character look good. You know, have some bigger character so people can watch her second film. And I'm like, oh, I see why they did it. They want Spider-Man because people will go if anything if Spider-Man's in it.
Bro, Captain
I
Marvel
know,
don't need. I know,
I'm
I know
not.
it's not. I know it's not you, but I'm just saying, bro. Captain Marvel don't need help. As much as I did not really enjoy her movie, bro, she made $1 billion. She don't need help. She made as much. No, she. I think she actually made more than. No, she did. She made more than any of the Spider-Man movies except for Far From Home, she made more than Far From Home. But like,
Yeah, but I know
stupid.
it is stupid, but that's apparently what people are saying. And there's even a new rumor that Captain Marvel 2 is going to adapt the Secret Invasion story. And I'm like, wait a minute. You're trying to make the Secret Invasion story in a Captain Marvel film? And and that's why Spider-Man's in it, because apparently some of the Avengers will be in it. It's kind of like Civil War, where these characters are just supporting cast, cameos, whatever the freak like that. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
is that really what you're doing? Because there's this rumor that they're making a Secret Invasion Disney Plus show, and I'm like, okay, well, what's that going to be about? Who's the characters if you're going to do that? And then apparently that show's going to set up Captain Marvel 2, which is the Secret Invasion storyline with some of the Marvel characters. So I'm like, okay, is that why people are saying Spider-Man's going to be in that film out of all other films? Not Fantastic Four, which would have been so cool to see, because Spider-Man's first appearance outside of his origin was his team up with the Fantastic Four. But Captain Marvel 2, are you shitting me?
See, what I think Captain Marvel 2 is going to focus on, if it, like, I don't know what the main story will be, but when it comes to setup, they're not setting up no fucking Spider-Man crossover. No, I don't even think they're going to do Fantastic Four. I don't think when's Captain Marvel 2 come out? Like 2021, 2022. Whenever it
I think
comes out.
I think it was 2023
Oh,
or something.
2023. I think that's more possible. But let's say if it was 2022, it's too soon for Fantastic Four. So, what I am almost guaranteeing you that they're going to be setting up for Captain Marvel is Sword. Now, for those who don't know what Sword is a pretty much Shield, but for space. Now we have the Eternals. We're gonna have Guardians of the Galaxy. It's Space Avengers. So now you're gonna have two different Avengers, and I think that would be something cool to really have. Unless they keep Guardians of the Galaxy their own separate team, and they build up their own team, and then they have their crossover with Sword. If they have, I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities, especially if they do end up setting up Sword. But I think Sword is almost like a must-have, especially if you're going to have like something like Galactus in the future. And um, I just think it's almost a necessity, especially if you're going to keep focusing on the cosmos.
Yeah, that's what Marvel said, that Phase 4 and 5 is going to have more cosmic-based films. I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, I want to see Silver Surfer. I want to see Beta Ray Bill. You know, I just want to see all those characters. But I'm like, how are they going to execute them? Who knows? All I know is that I know Sword was setting up Spider-Man Far From Home post-credit scene with Nick Fury is basically the Sword
Yeah.
Station. And
Yep.
then WandaVision is going to have Sword in it, which is cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, there was set photos, and even that girl from Captain Marvel, what's her name? Ramona Rambeau, right? The little girl with,
What about her?
you know, she's in it as an older woman working for Sword. So I'm like, okay, I see what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know,
So
but
yeah.
I
Okay.
don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say, well, the thing is, guys, I'm not that excited for Phase 4 really at this point. I'll still watch them to see how they do and what they're gonna set up. And the thing about Venom and Morbius now involved, technically, it's like, okay, I see what they're doing with this. I see what they're doing. Because, again, they want to keep Spider-Man, because Spider-Man's probably going to be the new main character in the franchise. So you want to keep him around, then Sony has to be like, all right, but we want to share. And Marvel's like, yeah, okay, fine. But
Yeah.
try not to mess up.
Yeah.
And this to keep him around.
Yeah, the thing is with Spider-Man 2, Marvel really did a banger job of making his importance known, especially in Far From Home. Like they set up like he's going to be the one that replaces Iron Man, but he's like, I'm not Iron Man, I am my own person. But that still set up his importance though, on how big of a
Yeah.
role he can play in the MCU. Then after that, he just kind of disappears. That's not gonna work with the fans, and Marvel knows that. They know what they set up, and they're like, oh fuck, we. I don't think they need Spider-Man, but when it comes to the story, their story will take a slight hit if Spider-Man disappears. They don't
Yeah,
need
because
Spider-Man, but they want Spider-Man.
because people are gonna question where he is if say they Sony took him back permanently, and I'm like, and people be like, oh shit, where is he? And Marvel's being like, well, he's gone, and you gotta also realize Spider-Man is the poster boy of Marvel, so of course Marvel wants to keep him around as long as they can. Plus, Tom
Yeah,
Holland said he wants to play him forever because he's still young. He could be in any film he wants. He could be in as many films as he wants, really, because
but why would you? You could be Spider-Man, man. Holy fuck, this is so cool.
yeah, exactly. Like I said, he's really young. He's actually around like our age, so he could play the character as long as he wants in any film. He could be in a lot of movies if he wants, and he could. They just have to work out a deal with Marvel to do that. I mean, Sony. I'm sorry to do
Yeah,
that.
I think that's what the whole vulture scene was about, because they're like with. I'm not gonna get into whole details because I already talked about it, but the whole thing with Sony and Disney, like their whole financing and shit like that, how unfair it was, because it was unfair. They
Hmm.
could have come up with an agreement, and Sony could have said like, okay, fine, we'll let you keep using him if he's allowed to come into our Venomverse and maybe have a couple characters of yours come over, and they're like, well, we'll let you use Spider-Man in our universe, but it's only going to be him. And they could have had some form of agreement like that, so that could explain why Vulture just kind of seems out of nowhere, where he just kind of pops up, because it could have been like an end credit scene, like I discussed earlier in the podcast. It could have been just some thing they just shot last second, and
Yeah,
they're like, oh fuck, okay, now we got this. Now what? Who are we gonna introduce? And they're like, well, one of the Sinister Six members that survived. I don't think Mysterio is dead, but we're gonna
no, he's
talk
not.
about that. We're gonna talk about that later. But like, they get Vulture, and like, because Vulture, as this version of Vulture, could be a very great leader, because he was a leader in Homecoming. So I feel like if there's gonna be someone that leads the Sinister Six, it could be Vulture, especially because it's Michael Keaton, and you don't want to sideline Michael Keaton. Michael
Yeah,
Keaton is literally Jesus when it comes to birds. It's just a Batman, Birdman, Vulture. He's like, he's just gonna start flapping his fucking wings. I bet you he lives in a bird's nest. That's how fucking cool he is.
yeah. I was gonna say, I think the good thing about having these Sony films connected is that, in a way, these films are sort of setting up major plot lines for Spider-Man that the Spider-Man main films might not have time to set up because like Morbius could easily slowly set up Sinister Six. You know what I mean? Because by the way,
Exactly.
there was a leak. There was a leak from Morbius, which could be potential spoilers. We don't know. It's probably not true, but careful for spoilers. And do you want me to say these
Just go ahead.
spoilers?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So there was this leak from Morbius saying that the Vulture scene is not the post-credits scene. It's actually in the middle of the movie. What
Interesting.
happened was is that what happened is at one point Morbius got captured and got sent to prison. That's where he met up with Vulture and even Scorpion,
Ah.
right? And Cletus Cassidy was also there apparently. So what happened was is that Vulture was talking to him about setting up a team or something, or breaking out someday, or like trying to pick up. They also mentioned the snap, like the blimp and shit like that. Like apparently Vulture got snapped, so that's why he's still around and not aged, of course.
Okay.
But apparently he and Scorpion got sent to a different prison. That's where they ran into Morbius, and Cletus Cassidy's also there. I guess to set up Venom too, basically. So what happened was is that when Morbius escaped, right? Vulture and Scorpion escaped, and Cletus Cassidy escaped, which is why he's already there in Venom 2. They said apparently they don't want to set up Cletus Cassidy escaping in Venom 2. They just want to show the audience, oh yeah, he escaped already because watch Morbius. So
The one
that's
thing.
basically that's basically the world building for that movie.
So as cool as that is, I don't think I would like Scorpion just being thrown in because if you guys don't know Scorpion, I mean you know Scorpion because he's literally just that, a Scorpion. But Scorpion is a villain that was basically funded and created by J. Jonah Jameson, and him just showing up with no setup really sucks because I wanted something like in Spider-Man 3, like J. Jonah Jameson's like, okay, well, I clearly this court case did not work out, and I want Spider-Man dead. I hate him. I can't stomach him. Build up that hate, and then that's what causes Scorpion. I don't want Scorpion to just show up.
No, like yeah, but from the league, he's in prison. It's the same Scorpion from that from Homecoming, and he escaped. So I don't know. Your idea sounds interesting. That maybe in Spider-Man 3, Jameson finds him, right? He's like in New York, right? And he's like, I need money, right? And he's like, well, I can get you something, you know. And instead of a mutation,
Oh, okay. So he's not Scorpion yet, but just the guy that ends up being Scorpion.
no, yeah. In the league, it was the same actor with Vulture in the same prison from Homecoming.
Okay,
He's not Scorpion yet.
Okay.
You know?
Then I love it. Yeah, then I love it because I'm sitting there thinking he's already Scorpion. I'm like,
No, he's not.
okay. So like,
No, I didn't mean to freak you out.
yeah, okay, that's a lot better. I actually love that so much more. So that's a proper way to not shove it down our throats. It's just gotta make sense. And if Morbius is just in there and he's that's cool. That's cool. Cletus Cassidy being a Sinister Six member is a very strange thing in my head, mainly because he's not exactly the one that plays well with others.
No, he's not going to be in the Sinister Six. He just so happens to be there that when Morbius broke out, he apparently escaped as well and went to San Francisco for Venom 2. That's how he shows up in Venom 2. Instead of just setting up his breakout in Venom 2, he's already out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you know what would be very interesting? If Sinister Six happens and it's a Spider-Man movie and it's the Sinister Six, they set him up. Spider-Man is like near death. Like he's getting his ass beat. That's what's so cool about the Sinister Six because they can take Spider-Man on and like almost never lose. But what ends up destroying them for the most part is their lack of team chemistry.
Yeah, that's usually how Spider-Man beats them all the time.
Yeah, but like let's say Vulture is actually the one that keeps them in line, right? But so like they're kicking his ass. He's on the ground bleeding, and then Venom's the one that actually saves him. Because in this universe, Venom's not a villain. He's going to be the anti-hero. So like there's been times where like Venom has teamed up with Spider-Man, and they're clearly setting up Venom as a superhero, not so much an anti-hero, but like a superhero. And it's going to take me some time to adapt with that, but like unless they start setting up him as more of like a much darker side other than him just go like dark side and then eat some bad guys. If he's got a darker edge to him, I think there are going to be a lot of cool things they can work with, like a Spider-Man and a Venom teaming up against the Sinister Six, unless they just like, okay, Spider-Man beats the Sinister Six. Because that can also be really cool. Because seeing Peter do something on his own is also really cool. But the Sinister Six is his Thanos. It's his big thing. And that's something that you should not have him beat lightly.
Yeah, of course. I get that. And of course, one idea I did like how to have Venom cross over with Spider-Man is that if Spider-Man still stays a menace, right? Like his name is cleared, right? His identity's cleared, but he's still treated as a menace. That would be a nice way to have Venom think of him as a villain, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then we have the classic Spider-Man Venom fight, of course, and of course the misunderstanding. It's the same shit, but at least that way it'll at least show how they meet. You know what I mean? Instead of just being randomly. That's how I see their that's how I see their meetup. You know what I mean? And at least then after their team up, we get the spider symbol on Venom.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. I'm like, changed Venom's look. Like, don't get me wrong, I like that he's more cartoony, like the more like iconic Venom look. But like, we gotta clean him up somehow. They just clean him up somehow, make him like. I think the spiders, like adding some white to him would definitely help out. So the spider symbol is definitely going to make it much easier to tell his definitions.
Yeah, but of course, one thing I did like from what Andy Serkis has said is that Venom 2 is sort of like a soft reboot. per se of the first Venom film, which, okay, that makes sense. If you want to connect it to the MCU, you kind of have to fix the little errors that the first film kind of made. You know what I
You
mean?
mean the entire final act? Sorry.
Yeah, also that. Also what I like, because, Andy Serkis is a amazing motion capture, actor. I hope they do motion capture for Venom 2. I know for a fact that the first Venom film, the CG was really just CG. There was no motion capture, which is
So,
probably why it looks so bad.
so I think with Andy Serkis being the legend that he is in the CG industry, I think he can have some connections that will make Venom look a lot better. And you're right, motion capture. If he ends up motion capturing it, or if he gets someone that he knows, but Andy Serkis has been in the industry for so long, and he's so iconic that I feel like he can get in a couple of favors to make Venom look good, and especially Carnage. Carnage is going to be a lot easier to make look good, mainly because he's red, and when it comes to night scenes, red looks a lot better than a black CG character. So just have a lot of your fight scenes during the day. I know that a lot of people, especially Spider-Man fans, have this thing that if the final fight's not in night scene, it's not a night scene. It's a fucking crime, which is bullshit. Whatever. You're not a real Spider-Man fan if you think that can't be a thing. But have them fight in the day to really highlight how good your CG is. I know a lot of people are like use a night scene to hide the bad CG, but holy shit, that's not entails with a fully black CG character.
Yeah, exactly, man. But, of course, we got to discuss the elephant in the room. The other spinoff Sony's making. Okay, this is going to be a long discussion, because the thing about Sony is that they own every Spider-Man supporting character and villain. They had I forgot how many, 900 characters. So it's going to be hard to make films about certain characters because people might not give a shit, like Man-Wolf, or Solo, or Madam Web. I'm pretty sure they're only using Madam Web as to set up Spider-Verse. I'm guaranteed you that's what's going to happen. But I don't know. That's just weird choices for films, really, because it's like Sony can't think of anybody to make films about, and they're like, all right, let's get into the D list or F list of characters that we could use.
The thing
because
is,
Spider-Man. Yeah, go on.
I was just saying, the thing is, those are not going to stick. No one in their right mind is going to be like, yes, I will love to make a Madam Web movie. Madam Web is not exactly a character to make a movie about. She can be in a movie, but she's not a character to make a movie about. So,
well, to be fair,
you go.
I was gonna say, not having her own film is not good. But if she was in a Spider-Man film, that would be a great nostalgia for the 1994 animated series. You know what I mean? For the fans who watch that cartoon.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I think it's they're falling into their whole old problems, just like announcing things left and right, seeing what sticks. But they stopped that after the whole Fox Disney merger. So it's been a minute since we heard anything like that. So I remember when they announced Madam Web movie. That was almost a year ago, and they haven't said anything since. Remember Black Cat and Silver Sable? We haven't. They stopped that. There's a lot of these things they announce is not happening for good reason. Because they're like, shit, we were just throwing shit out the wall to see what sticks.
Yeah. I feel like, I'll be fair though. I feel like I have this strange feeling that Sony might have learned their lesson, especially when they were working with Kevin Feige, who obviously is like a master of building something up and announcing stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They work with him, so I feel like they maybe took some lessons from him. I think they even said this after the fallout with the deal. They said, thank you, Kevin Feige. We really did learn a lot from you and stuff like that. So I feel like they learned something from him, you know what I mean, when they're announcing stuff. Who knows what's going to happen? I know for a fact that there is one untitled film that's coming out from them. I don't know what it is. People said it's going to be Spider-Woman or Kraven or some shit.
I hope it's Kraven, because Kraven's a cool character.
That would be cool, and that would be kind of cool. But then a lot of people were saying Kraven is probably going to be the villain for the third Spider-Man film.
I don't think so. No, there's no shot. I say no shot. and it's gonna come back on my face. I feel it, but it's not. I don't think it's gonna be 'cause, like it's gonna be like the main plot better be a whole courtroom thing. It better not be something they sweep under the rug in the first opening, like the opening credits, because I'll be pretty fucking pissed because that's a bombshell that was just thrown, and they can't just sweep it under a rug. So I don't know. Having a courtroom drama kind of comic book movie is something we haven't really seen before, and I don't know. And having Craven the Hunter as the main villain in that scene, it doesn't match. It doesn't match unless he's going to fucking Afghanistan or some deserty region. I don't know. It makes no sense.
Yeah. The only way I could think of is that the whole courtroom thing might just be something like a scene or two, but that's not really the whole movie. But it would be cool because maybe a certain blind lawyer, hopefully, I'm praying to God, could show up.
I'm hoping to.
You know?
I'm hoping so badly to. I want Daredevil. I want Charlie Cox as Daredevil. King is a law.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was gonna say there was that thing about apparently the Netflix shows. I mean, the characters' rights are apparently going to be up by this year. Daredevil apparently is going to get reverted back to Marvel by November or December this year. And because of the delays, we don't know when Spider-Man 3 is going to be filmed. Probably in the fall. How coincidental, right?
Yeah, because they were supposed to start shooting. The thing is that they were supposed to start shooting the week everything started happening. So the thing is, though, it's still close to the vest. That's the problem, though. It's still close to the vest. I don't think we're going to be that lucky. But if we are, I'll be happy. But I don't know. I hope.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I really want Daredevil in Spider-Man 3. And like you said, I want Charlie Cox. I want that iconic theme in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been great. I don't know. Again, it's probably not going to happen. I mean, Kevin Smith apparently knows something that nobody apparently knows.
That was literally him just saying something. They looked into it, and there's no statement behind it.
Yeah, he did say something, but people were like, he says, "Oh, I heard from a rumor," but people were like, "Where is this rumor? I don't see it anywhere." You know what I mean? I don't know. I know he said that he just heard it from somewhere, and I know it's not actually true, but I don't know. This guy's worked in Hollywood. He's worked with Marvel before. I don't know.
But we're going to have to end it there, man. It's almost midnight where I'm at, and God forbid if my neighbors hear me. So we're going to have to end it there, sadly. But I wanted to thank you for joining this podcast today. We had a good amount of people when the podcast first started. But thank you guys so much for watching. You guys can follow me on Twitter, Gumps_videos. Webhead, where can they find you?
As I said in the beginning of this video, you can follow me on Twitter with the Amazing Webhead. I'm not really active there, but hopefully maybe I will in the future. And of course, Instagram, the Amazing Web 15_. That's about it for me.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching, and look forward to more podcasts because we definitely got a lot to say. Peace out, guys.
Peace.